to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Here I am, and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's progress. I had been recording at 8 o'clock at night. Yesterday, I didn't record because I hosted a vestibular disorders for stroke and TBI support group. I'm not going to be able to repeat that, so I hope you got it the first time. I'm getting used to new routines. Like what I thought was it would be the same routines, I'm just in a different space, but it has proved to be, and I think this is what's going on, very tiring and very challenging for me to get into my routines that I'm used to in this new space. And what I was thinking about this morning when I was talking to my psychiatrist was, after I had my stroke, it was really challenging for me to build habits, more challenging than before my stroke. So I really had to put a lot of thought into what comes next. What comes next? Where do I do this? What was I doing? Where am I? And I'm going through that all again. So a great example is when we got new, let's see, after I had my stroke, when it was time to feed the dogs, I could not keep straight which container. Oh, I know what it was. The dogs started eating different food because Autumn maybe has a food allergy. We were thinking that maybe she's allergic to chicken. So we moved her over to a salmon-based food, and Boris just doesn't like salmon. I know, that's hilarious, but he wouldn't eat the salmon. So what can I say? The guy doesn't like salmon. So we had to start feeding them different food. Well, it was very difficult for me to remember which food was in which container. And I'm sure anybody would have that issue. But so my husband put an A on Autumn's food container and a B on Boris's food container. And then I was like, okay, well, now I have to remember which name starts with which letter, which seems kind of, like something you wouldn't have to think about, but everything takes extra thought. It just does in this post-stroke life that I'm living. So that's just a simple example where, like, it takes so much extra thought for me to let the dogs out to go to the bathroom. So we have a yard now, which we haven't had before. I used to have to put their leashes on and take them outside across the street from our house into this field. Sometimes I would let them out without a leash. Actually, more often than not, I let them out without a leash because I have the e-collars on them, and that was just what we did. But I had my routine, like, here's the collars are here, the leashes are here, the little remotes for the collars are here, and now I'm in this new space and I'm like, I don't know, where's the leash, where's the collars? Like, I used to take the collars off every time they came in, and now I can't remember to do that. So as of now, they are laying on the bed with their collars on. Autumn, I'm not going to go down that tangent. Anyway, everything is taking a lot of energy, physically and mentally. And I'm just getting really, really exhausted really easily. So I decided that I'm gonna make sure that I take a nap every afternoon. And that's kind of screwing me up, you know how I feel about naps, but I'm trying to embrace the nap and I think it is helping me emotionally, which is interesting. Like, I was starting to feel this like depression and anxiety I was telling you guys about. The anxiety seems to be dissipating as I've been taking naps. So it's like everything is connected. And anyway, that was a long way around of I don't even know where that started. But today I wanted to talk about something that I was talking to my psychiatrist about. And what it has to do with is step 4. So I'm in the process of doing step 4 again, which sometimes, and my psychiatrist was asking me this, like, what does it look like to go through a step for the second time? And I said, well, I'm not quite sure. I've been trying to figure out how to go through it for the second time. But so I did ask my BFF, Chatty McChatterton, if he had like some questions that I could go through, and of course he did, he produced. But I thought something better of that. I'm like, oh, I have this life recovery workbook, so I'm gonna go through that. So the first thing that I did was I went and got a cup of tea and I lit a candle and I got under my blankie on my cozy blue chair and I started to read about step 4. That's right, read. And reading, if you're keeping up with my disability, is very, very challenging for me. So at first, I started to read, and I'm like, oh, my head was hurting. I didn't even get through the first paragraph, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I cannot read. It just hurts my head. I can't retain anything. I don't know what I'm reading. My eyes can't see the words separately. Um, I have to read one word at a time, which sounds weird, because you think, well, we all read one word at a time, but we don't read one word at a time. We're reading chunks of words at a time. And I only realize that as I'm trying to read that way now, and I can't do it. I can't process a chunk of words. I have to read one word at a time. And that is requires a lot of patience for me to read one word at a time. And so that takes care of the mental part of it, like the ingestion of the meaning of the words. But what about the vision? Like, I can't look at a book that's full of words like this and pick out one word at a time. Like, my eyes are looking at all the words. I can't focus on one word at a time. So I got my handy Remarkable pen, and I just started at the top and just rolled the pen down and only would look at the line right above the pen. And it took a lot longer, but I read 4 pages. Yes. So everybody, please celebrate with me that I read 4 pages. And there were times when I had to stop, like my brain stopped. It wasn't like I had to stop. My brain couldn't do it. Like my brain was like, nope, you're done. And then I said, no, brain, I'm not done yet. So I kept going. I had to take breaks, but I did read the whole 4 pages. And then, so yay, me. And then afterwards, there's questions. And I went through about a little over 10 of the questions and wrote down my answers. And it was really a nice time to reflect on stuff that I don't want to think about, as weird as that sounds. I made my environment as cozy as possible so that I could sit with myself and talk to myself, like listen to myself. What is it that I'm feeling and why and all that stuff. So I wanted to talk about some of my answers. That's it. It's as simple as that. I wanted to talk about a couple of my answers. So typically step 4 for Alcoholics Anonymous, we make a list of people that we feel um, resentful towards. And then I look at like what my role is. Well, these questions are really looking a bit further into me, looking at what am I thinking or what was I thinking during the drinking time? And what are the things that I still think now that I'm challenged with? And I wanted to talk about it because I know that I'm not the only one. That's the great thing about doing this podcast or going to meetings is that when I share about something, I'm certain that I'm not the only one now. And so the first question, I'll just do a couple of them because that leads to absolutely enough, maybe two. Okay, we'll just see where that leads me to. Because they start straying, they start kind of going all over the place, the questions. But there's this one area that we'll just see if I can articulate how I felt about it. Okay, stop babbling and read the question. Okay, I hear you. The first question is when and in what ways have I led a double life, looking good on the outside while full of shame about my addiction on the inside? So, what I wrote down as my answer is, and I'm looking, I took some time, I just closed my eyes and I was thinking about what it was like. When was I feeling like I was leading this double life, that I was behaving differently or I was showing a different person on the outside than who I felt like or what I was experiencing on the inside? And I immediately remember this time when I came into work late. I was like an hour late. I walked into work after having drank the whole way to work, stopping part of the way there. I was probably like 4/5 of the way there. And I pulled over so that I would make sure that I could finish the wine that I intended to finish on the drive in. And then I walked into work and I walked by my whole department. Like they were all talking together. And I was like, oh, what a drive, and I just kept walking and I went into my cubicle. And and I was like, if they don't smell the alcohol on me, that is crazy. Like that's what I was thinking. But I didn't even care. It's like I cared, but I didn't care. If I cared that much, I wouldn't have done it. And so I was trying to portray this like, oh, I have such a horrible drive in, I work so hard. When really on the inside, I was desperate for alcohol. I was desperate for some sort of solution for the pain that I was feeling inside. The pain doesn't even describe it. The emptiness, the desperation, the feeling like my soul was being dragged under. Um, it was just all consuming. And the fact that I was able to even hold myself erect and walk past them was absolutely this idea of living a double life. Because what I felt like on the inside was just, I mean, if gravity could be a display of the grief and desperation that I felt, I would have been flat, if that makes sense. And that analogy was one that I heard something similar in the book Atmosphere that I'm listening to, but I was like, yes, that absolutely makes sense to me. So, um, I remember those instances. That's just one example out of thousands of when I felt like I was living a double life. So I was trying to behave like others would expect me to, but I was wanting to hide. And by hiding, I was drinking. I was putting a cloak over the pain, putting a cloak over the desperation. I was feeding the pain, I was feeding the desperation, but then I was putting a cloak over top of it so nobody could see. And then at times that I was feeling upset with other people, I was not confident that that those feelings were justified, um, because I wasn't processing reality. Like I knew that I wasn't processing reality. So I could not, it was not fair for me to bring other people into my pain. So I just kept it all inside, no matter what it was. I kept it all inside. And I was not able to let any of it go. Imagine how heavy that pain gets when we keep holding on to it for years and years and years and putting a cloak over it and just carrying it with me on my shoulders, in my pockets, on my heels, like I was dragging myself through life. So, how is that relating to step four? How is that affecting my relationships? How is that affecting my relationship with my, at the time, boyfriend? How was that affecting my relationship with my children? Could they see it? Could they see me dragging myself? Maybe not directly, but they could see the way that it affects my desire to do other things because I couldn't. I didn't have any energy left to give. I didn't have any energy to give. It was all about taking. It was all about trying to drag my feet forward. That was all I had the energy to do. And how was that affecting my relationships at work? I don't know. I don't know because nobody ever said anything to me. Nobody said anything to me until I was ready to step forward and say, I've got a problem. And I never would have been able to fix any of it, fix me, if I didn't do that. And as soon as I did that, the world opened up. It didn't feel like it. Like when I first went into HR had asked me to come in because I had confided in a friend that I was an alcoholic and I needed help. And that friend went to HR. And then HR came to me and said, I'm just wondering how you're doing. And I sat there and I beat around the bush as long as I could until I realized I know why they called me in. They called me in because he felt like he needed to tell them. And I'm so happy that he did because I wouldn't be here today if that person didn't didn't feel I wouldn't be here if that person kept what I told them to themselves, that they needed to tell somebody. So I encourage you, if you are somebody who has been exposed to somebody who's an alcoholic, don't keep it to yourself. I'm telling you, don't keep it to yourself. It doesn't matter how mad they're going to get or anything like that. It's life or death. It's absolutely life or death. So tell somebody, say something. So the next question says, by hiding my problems with image management, how has my shame taken root and grown in my heart? Am I fearful to admit what is there? So my answer was I still have a hard time admitting when something is wrong because I don't want to confront it. And when I was talking to my psychiatrist about this morning, what I realized is this, that typically when something is wrong, if I'm fearful, angry, depressed, anxious, typically if I'm feeling any of these what feels like very, very heavy, complex feelings, one of four things is wrong. I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. But when I'm feeling a complex, heavy feeling, the last thing somebody can say to me is, hey, look, I know you're feeling terrible. I know you're feeling heavy. I know that it feels like life is over, but the answer is simple. You're either hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I would be so pissed off because I don't want to hear that there's a simple solution to my complex feeling because it would feel like it was diminishing the severity of my feelings. And so the other day I was upset about something. And what I tend to do is, sorry, my phone was ringing. It's spam. What I tend to do is isolate. That's my immediate reaction. When I'm upset with something, isolate, shut down. So that's what I did. Isolated, I shut down, and I laid in my bed, and I'm like, you just need to take a nap. Just take a nap. And it wasn't because I thought, that's not true. I did think I'm probably tired. I know I'm tired, at least. So let me take a nap and see what happens when I wake up. So that's what I did. I took a nap. I don't even think I really fell into a deep sleep. It's almost like I was awake the whole time that I was laying there, because I felt like anxiety the whole time that I was napping. I don't even know what you call it when you're laying there, but you're not sleeping. Because I was like still coherent. But I did feel like I had rested when I woke up. Anyway, what I realized was there was an event that made me upset. It, and it made sense to me that it wasn't what the other person did. Um, it was I don't want to tell you like the whole event, but something fell on my ankle and it hurt and it made me react like that. That was it. And so there wasn't something wrong with the other person. There wasn't something wrong with me, except for I was hangry. I wasn't hangry. I was tired, and the initial reaction was, sorry, I hear a noise. It's my I'm easily distracted. It's my little robot mopper is cleaning the kitchen, and on this new kitchen we have the wood is like very bumpy, so I can hear it going across the wood, like, and it sounds like a train. Anyway, I was tired and I hurt myself. That was what was wrong. So it seems, but I was not able to accept that until I took a nap. And guess what? After I took a nap, I wasn't tired anymore. So I was able to reflect and be like, oh, I was tired and I hurt myself. And that's why I reacted to the situation. So anyway, think about that. I'm going to think about it when I'm feeling, we'll say hangry also. If we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, um, that can affect our emotions in extremely complex ways. And when I'm feeling those complex feelings that just feel like life is just too much to handle, do one of those things. Get a snack, take a nap. Even if you're like, F that. That is not what's wrong with me. Do it anyway. Just do it anyway. That's the next right thing. Do it anyway and then see what happens. For me, it worked. For me, the feelings started to make sense. And it I think by using that HALT thing that I learned in my program, it has helped me build stronger relationships. It has helped me to not react to people in ways that otherwise I would damage relationships, and just make myself feel stupid or make myself feel like, oh, your feelings don't matter because you express them to somebody else and they're like, what are you, crazy? I'm I have an issue with being afraid somebody's going to think that my thinking is unreasonable. And I think that that is an after effect of my thinking having been unreasonable for so long as an active alcoholic. So it's important to me that I really take that pause that I talk about all the time. Take the pause and think about what's going on, and is the problem me? What is my role? And that's what step 4 introduced me to. So those are just a couple questions that I thought were really inspiring for an episode today. So thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.